Good evening all, and welcome to this July meeting of the Barossa Assessment Panel. Take the opportunity to welcome members and staff and anyone who may have joined us online to observe this evening. I will just start by introducing the members, just in case there is anyone who's joined us online. So we have Graham Burns, we also have Councillor Tony Hearn, and we have Sarah Elding, and online joining us we have Rachel Nucky. My name's Jeff Parsons, I'm the presiding member, and we're also joined by our Assessment Manager, Aaron, Tom, our Senior Planner, and other senior members of Council staff who are here to assist us. So good evening and welcome. Now, just in terms of the items on our agenda, the administrative items, in terms of apologies, we do have an apology from Councillor Jane Evans, so make sure that's noted in the minutes, and thank you, Tony, for stepping in as the deputy member. We really appreciate that. Now, confirmation of minutes. The last meeting was held on the I think it says there, the 3rd of June. So all members have received a copy of those minutes. Anyone prepared to move those minutes be adopted? Graham, thank you. Is there a seconder? Seconded Sarah, thank you. All those in favour, please raise your hand. That's carried unanimously. No business arising from the minutes, I presume? No. Does any member have a declaration of interest that they wish to make in respect to the item before us this evening? That does take us to our item for consideration this evening. So this is an application for the installation and operation of 2 frost fans located in the rural zone, and it was performance assessed and publicly notified. Tom, you were the assessing officer for the application. Is there anything you'd like to take us through as an introduction to the item?
Yep, so the proposal's for 2 frost fans, both with 5 propellers. The application's been informed through with an acoustic report to try and address the close impacts to the surrounding dwellings. And yes, through the notification period, there was no representations received, so no one to speak tonight.
No, thank you. And I don't believe we have representatives of the applicant with us. So there's no opportunity, members, to pose questions to the applicant, but there is to pose questions to the staff if you have any you would like to ask. Yes, Tony.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Just looking at the graph on page 21, the decibel numbers, the maximum is 55. And I see in a couple of them are getting up to 54, and there's one at position 1, I guess it is. Right at the top is 55. Was that of any concern? Or I know it's close, but different atmospheres apparently make them change. So was that taken into consideration, or was that because it's at 55, that's in the realm of qualification?
Thanks for that. Thanks for that. Yes, so I guess there's a couple of things to consider when they do the noise modelling. Is they base it on the conditions where frost is typically generated, which is during a still night, obviously when the conditions are most quiet, there's no wind and all that kind of stuff. So the conditions are based on that modelling. The test for frost fans when it comes to decibel ratings is it either has to achieve the 55 decibels exterior to the dwellings. If it breaches that, they do have further testing available to make sure they meet 35 decibels within the closest habitable room, I believe it is. So what they do with the acoustic report is they use their modelling, which they claim is relatively accurate, as in most of the testing they've done is in line. I'm not sure if they've ever really provided that data or not. But the main thing is that they've used some accurate modelling and then achieved that 55 decibels. I think in this case, sorry, I haven't got that plan in front of me, but I think they can change the revs of the fans to achieve that. So if they run at full capacity, they might go to 56, 57 or whatever decibels, but sometimes they limit it limit each fan to a lower rating or lower speed to make sure they achieve this. But yeah, a lot of it is based on theoretical and modelling that they've used in the past.
Did your decision, because there's about 9 or 10 other fans in the area, which is on the next page, and I did go out there and have a look, and I clicked, and I realised that I was looking at that fan closest. So as you go up Penrice Road, it's the first block. Is it on the other side of the? No, it's on the positioning of this. Is it on the Newry side of the railway line? So it's those sheds. It moved. What did I do here? So I guess it's up near that block on the corner on the corner of, as you drive it, Newry, it would be on the left hand, down on this. So that's the Penrice Road. Yeah. And then Hans Corporation is further on up here, and it would be up in that top left corner, because they're the only residents nearby, but there is a house right on the corner of that, in that area there too. So were they taken into consideration at all?
Yeah. So all those identified in that acoustic report, all those little red house kind of emblems were considered in the acoustic report. So, and that was for both fans operating at the same time. Newry is to the west or to the left of the page, and Penrice is further to the right. But yes, so those houses that were shown on that plan that was up just before.
Newry down this way?
No.
Isn't that swivel around? Either that, I was looking at a completely different block, because it's on the left coming out of Newry. And those sheds
So through the chair, so this is Penrice Road here, and then you've got, this is the, what is that, the eastern extremity of Newry up the township. You've got the Bush Gardens just here, so, and then you've got the township of Light Pass here, and this is a rail corridor here.
No more questions, Mr. Chairman, at this stage?
Excellent. Any further? Did I see, Rachel, you were nodding before? Did you have any questions you wanted to ask?
No, I'm all good, thank you. That was a useful discussion, but no, I've got no questions.
Okay. Yeah, Graham.
Only one, Jeff, and this might seem an unusual question. I always thought, because I haven't ever heard a wind fan, I was just saying to Tony, to hear these things, you've got to be living up here, and when it's cold early in the morning. And I've read all the documents. I think the Echo report says that they're testing the sound from the blade itself cutting through the air when it does its job, not the engine, the diesel engine at the base of the pylon that sits at the bottom. I always thought, perhaps somewhat ignorantly, that the most noise was generated from the engine that powers up the fan. So can Tom perhaps tell me? And I think what the Echo is saying is the diesel engine will be contained within an acoustic enclosure, and that really is incidental in terms of the noise it might make. It's the noise from the blade cutting through the air. Am I correct in that assumption?
Yes. So the engine is in a sound attenuating box for all intents and purposes. But the fans, I guess the idea is that I've heard in the past where people say that they hear the fan the most when it's facing away from them. So obviously the fan is blowing air towards something that maybe disrupts the sound of it, where behind the fan is where there's still air or maybe drawing in the air. I'm not sure how.
Like a helicopter, you hear that thud.
Yes.
That's what I was leaving.
So it could be the case where it's that type of thing.
No, it's useful. All right, members, if there are no further questions, then I seek your views in respect to this item. We've got a very thorough report before us from the administration and a recommendation that planning consent is granted. What are our views in respect to this one? Yes, Graham.
Thanks, Jeff. Perhaps this is a question to Aaron. Am I correct in terms of the matter that we considered at the last meeting, the policy where the delegations that this type of an application won't be coming before the panel in future. This didn't attract representation, so am I correct in that assumption?
Yeah, thanks for the question there, Graham. So yeah, as per the report that was presented, it was an informational report, but essentially, I guess, canvassing feedback on the current delegations, which I think we did through some good discussion from the members. So that then needs to be reflected within an actual updated set of delegations, which so happens that the timing of this item was such that I wasn't able to get the delegations updated as yet. So with the updated delegations, working with our governance team, it would be proposed to bring them forward in a future report for the panel to endorse, and if it was to endorse, then essentially that current clause would be carved out. That's what we would propose, and then it would be up to my discretion to basically to determine whether or not to exercise the delegation for an application such as this, which I think obviously this is a good test case tonight, but the staff and the panel will continuously review how things are performing, and it's always appropriate to adjust according to the context. So I think, yeah, our recommendation would be to allow for an example like this to be addressed through a delegation.
Yep, no, I echo those comments entirely, Aaron. In fact, I think there's a very good test case for assessing the merits or otherwise of the application as to whether it's necessary, therefore, for something like this to come before us. Frankly, I think it's best dealt with at officer level under delegation. We're doing ourselves out of a job, guys, but I think that's...
We can fix that. I'll vote no.
Can I just add to that, if I may, presiding member?
Yes.
I concur with everything Graham has said, and I think if we can kind of agree that with these sorts of things that we have a standard suite of conditions that generally, I mean, there's always going to be instances where perhaps some conditions may need to be a bit more specific, but if we can agree to a standard suite of conditions that go on these types of applications, I think that gives a large degree of confidence moving forwards.
Thanks, Rachel. Since you have the floor, do you want to continue on and let us know your views on this application?
I can if you wish. Look, I'm overall supportive of this application. You know, these fans are used occasionally across the years. Across the year, they're an ancillary component to support an ongoing viticultural use of the site. I'm comfortable with the methodology and the noise modelling that has been adopted by Echo Acoustic Consulting, and believe that it satisfactorily addresses the environmental protection, commercial and industrial noise policy. These sorts of structures are anticipated and expected in the landscape, especially, I guess, for viticultural activities. So I think, especially with respect to the character preservation district overlay, I'm comfortable that the policies set out in that overlay have been appropriately upheld. There are other frost fans evident within the broader locality, of which is predominantly horticultural type activities, and I don't believe it's going to detrimentally impact the special character of that district. I don't believe it's seriously at variance. The frost fans are going to support that ongoing viticultural use of the site, and the amenity and noise impacts I believe to have been suitably addressed. So I support the application and the conditions, and my only question was around, are these kind of standard conditions that you have imposed on other similar applications? I would have thought perhaps they are. That's my only question.
Thanks, Rachel. Does the staff just want to quickly suggest whether they're standard or not?
Yes, so this was of one of the more recent conditions, obviously tailored a bit more towards this one with some of the details provided within it, like such as the degrees of when they operate. But yes, this is typically the standard one that we've imposed on under previous panels.
And I think condition 8 kind of addresses Tony's concern around how he was talking about the decibels and the velocity of the fan, the speed of the fan. I think condition 8 kind of addresses that from my understanding of that condition, unless I've misread it.
No, I don't think so. I think you've read it perfectly. I agree. Thank you. Graham?
No
No comment?
I'm supportive of the application. I'm supportive of the conditions that have been recommended as well.
Tony?
That's it. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Yeah, I'm supportive of the application. Originally, I was wondering, and then when I saw all the other frost fans in the area, the one thing that I would like to tell the panel, so for future reference, and even Aaron may not know, Kevin Burgermeister, who's suddenly was killed in an accident a few years ago, had on the Vintners Corner, not far from there, and his vines, through lack of frost fans, gradually changed their growth pattern, and so instead of getting 7 or 8 tonne to an acre, it nearly halved or went more down to 2 or 3 tonnes per acre. And as soon as he put the frost fans over the years, that tonnage increased back to normal again. So that's something that we should consider, because we are in a viticultural area, and I grew up on the land and I know how difficult it can be. So this is just another string to the bow, which the staff here could take into account. But the only concern that I would have, if it needed to come back to a panel, Aaron, is Mr. Chairman, if it got too close to some of the towns, which we do have them, but whether that would make any difference in that particular policy or not, that's a question I'd have a little bit of concern. But I know people here going on the other side of Casler's, just down the road here, some visitors complained that they were mechanical harvesting at 4 o'clock in the morning. And I said, we'll send them up to the Vine Inn. But that's part of spraying, noise, frost fans, mechanical harvesting, everything else. It's all in part of the pie. And, I think we're doing the right thing by supporting this application. And I certainly do, as Graham does as well. But we've got to look at the whole mix. That's all I'm saying. So I'd be concerned if there was something on the road here, just on the other side, near Saleyards Road corner with the Ag Department. And I don't think they have frost fans up yet, but they applied. That created a bit of a stir from a few people. So it can affect people's lives if they're light sleepers and things, but you've got to realise it only comes on at 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning, and we're saving perhaps thousands of dollars for a grower, whereas it might be 2 or 3 hours of a missed sleep for people that are not of understanding what it's like to live in on a block of land. So that's all I would say. That if it got too difficult, I would say that there should be a clause somewhere in that reckoning that it comes back to this panel, perhaps, if needed.
Thanks, Tony. I think that's the intention, isn't it, that the delegations do provide you with that ability to refer back to the panel if necessary?
Yeah, correct. So the application would still be notified in the same way it is now. It just means that, if there are representatives that want to be heard, they'll continue to come to the panel, and the panel will decide those applications. Or, for example, if there's strong objection, maybe representatives haven't requested to be heard, but we think there's sufficient reasons why the panel should decide it, then I have that discretion, basically. But I guess we have seen quite a number of these applications where they're sort of isolated or in the middle of a paddock amongst other frost fans, where the impacts seem to be fairly low, and they're the ones that probably don't need to go to the panel.
Sarah?
Thank you, through the chair. The only concerns I did have were mostly in relation to visual amenity, and knowing just through the height and the scale of the fans that's not going to be an inherent issue, particularly from any of the road entranceways as well from public view. The other thing is the height of the fans as well. reduces that risk of any potential likelihood of bushfire being generated and vegetation and debris being sucked into the fan and blown as well. And noting also in the report that there is a means to control an off switch remotely if necessary, which in the event of a bushfire, that would be something that they would need to do. It's part of it, understanding it is currently in a medium bushfire risk area, but over time that could change as well. And again, concur with Rachel that I would anticipate this type of development within this zone and that locality in support of the viticulture industry.
Thank you. And look, similar views, members. I agree with all the comments that have been made. I think there was reference to exactly what Tony was speaking about in the report with the case law, that is, there are some implications if you live in a rural area. You can't expect the same level of amenity that you do in a residential area, and these facilities, they directly enhance the productive value of the land, and that's why they're an appropriate land use, I think, in my view. So I need to repeat the other comments, and it sounds as if we are all in agreement. We do have a series of recommendations. So the first is that the proposal is not seriously at variance with the Planning and Design Code. Is there someone? Yep, Tony, you're happy to move that. Thank you. Is there a seconder? Seconder, Graham. Thank you. All those in favour, raise your hands. It's unanimous. And then our next recommendation is that the proposal doesn't undermine the character values of the district. Someone prepared to move? Rachel, thank you. Is there a seconder? Sarah, thank you. All those in favour, please raise your hand. It's carried unanimously. Yeah, I'll take it as unanimous. And then we have the third part of the recommendation, which is the decision to grant planning consent subject to all those conditions and notes as appear in the agenda. Is someone prepared to move? Yep, Tony, you're moving. Thank you. And Graham, you're seconding. Thank you. All those in favour, please raise your hand. And again, that's carried unanimously. So it means that planning consent is granted, and obviously building consent and development approval still need to be obtained before the development can proceed. So thank you to anyone who may have been attending online. Now, just returning to the rest of our agenda, members, I think, if memory serves, but my computer is slow to getting down that far. We just need to touch on whether there is any other business. Does any panel member have any other business that they would like to raise? No? Any other business from the staff? Aaron? No? There are no confidential reports, and so the next meeting is due to take place on the 5th of August. And with that, I'm happy to declare the meeting closed at 5:23 p.m. Thank you, members, for your attendance. Thanks, Rachel, for attending online. Thanks to Tony for stepping in at the